Hello, hello, hello. Happy Monday, happy new week to all of you, my greatest Ogoni people and friends of Ogoni all over the world. It's a pleasure. Ben Ikari is my name again. Um, I'm trying to speak briefly on the latest issue of, possible resumption of oil production in Ogoni land. I think the good thing is that Mr. Tinubu was able to ask the Ogoni people to go back home and talk, like do consultation, broad-based consultation, knowing that the stakeholders are vast. There are Ogoni people in America, there are Ogoni people in Canada, there are Ogoni people in the UK and other parts of the world, and there are, of course, most Ogoni people back in Ogoni in Africa. And so that was a good thing, and I applaud him for that. And the fact that we are also told uh, that he signed a bill into law that will establish the Ogoni Environmental Technology University. I mean, an environmental technology university cited in Ogoni. That's a good thing. I mean, it started during the Buhari's administration, but he's been able to finish it up, which is a good thing. It's a great thing, and I applaud him for that. And I mean, it's a very good thing indeed. But on the subject of or regarding oil resumption in Ogoni, well, those talking about oil resumption or arguing about it, whichever way you look at it, those who are in favor of oil resumption and those who are against are all entitled to making their presentation, making their argument. What's important is that no Ogoni person should think, not even the Nigerian government should think that, or made to think or believe that Ogoni cannot achieve political autonomy, which is a state for the Ogoni people in Nigeria. The Ogoni Bill of Rights is very clear. It's absolutely clear. Political autonomy, which will guarantee the control of the political, economic, and sociocultural affairs of the Ogoni people by the Ogonis, unlike the current situation where Ogoni is lumped into multi-ethnic state known as River State, a state that Ogonis joined forces to make possible in 1967, but to this day, no Ogoni man has been a governor, no Ogoni man has been a deputy governor, no Ogoni man has been the speaker of the state assembly. And so even the polytechnic that is in Ogoni, the former governor, Mr. Wike, reduced it to nothing. He moved it close to his home, somewhere close to Port Harcourt. So when Ogoni is loomed into multi-ethnic states of that nature, even though Ogoni is said to be, majority in that very state for right now, because the Ijaw, a majority part of the Ijaw left for the Bayelsa state. I mean, the political machine the oligarchs of the state have been conniving, making it difficult, extremely difficult for the Ogoni people to advance in that state. But that's not the reason why the Ogoni people are seeking political autonomy. Ogoni is seeking political autonomy, which is a state for Ogoni, because it is the right thing to do. It is as of right if the Ogoni people are part of Nigeria. If Ogonis are equal stakeholders. But of course, if Ogoni happen to be that ethnic nationality that has contributed so much in natural mineral resources and its human resources to the development of Nigeria, compared to more than 20 states, which Ogoni oil helped to create and develop, including Abuja. But they have not contributed anything close to what Ogoni has contributed. And will continue to contribute, assuming oil resumption was to start. Then, the most righteous thing and most respectful thing is to accord the Ogoni people a state of their own. And this state will deal with most other issues, most other or all of the other demands that are enshrined or stipulated in the Ogoni Bill of Rights. I've had some people say, oh, Ogoni people are asking for a country. No way. Ogoni people are not asking for a country. If you've read the Ogoni Bill of Rights, some of these media pundits also, they just talk about the Ogoni Bill of Rights or the Ogoni demand without maybe having the opportunity to read it. I also suspect most of the Nigerian officials or, they've not read it, or they read it but choose to misinterpret it the way they wish. If not, the Bill of Rights is clear. A people asking to become independent out of Nigeria will not demand adequate representation as of right in all the Nigerian national institutions. But that is what the Ogoni Bill of Rights demands. That's one of the demands, one of the core demands. But the overall demand, the most pertinent, most important demand that takes care of all other demands is the political autonomy option. I am not sure if political autonomy confuse the Nigerian authorities for some people to lie to the government in those days that Ogoni people were seeking independence. Why would Ogoni seek independence? Ogoni fought very hard to keep Nigeria as one. So, during the Nigeria-Biafra Civil War, to this day, a great number of Igbos still hold that against Ogoni, even though they would do the same thing if they were to be in the shoes of Ken Saro-Wiwa and other Ogoni people who supported the federal government of Nigeria. Of course, there were Ogonis who supported Biafra as well. The ambassador of Biafra to Britain was Ogoni, I.S. Kogbara, Chief I.S. Kogbara. The analytic chemist who joined forces with others and created the almighty Ogbunigwe, the gun type that took the Nigerian troop by surprise, was an Ogoni. Dr. G.B. Layton. There are several others. So it's not like 100% of Ogonis were supporting the federal government. Ogonis supported the federal government because Biafrans, those who were managing Biafra, beginning from the eastern government, eastern regional government, did not take Ogoni into consideration. They also did not take other so-called minorities in Niger Delta, which of course, happen to be minorities in southeast then, into consideration. Okay? You don't just co-opt people into a country without giving them the opportunity to decide whether they want to be part of that or not. That's the problem Nigeria is having to this day, where close to 250 ethnic groups were forced into one country without giving most of them the opportunity to decide whether they want to be part of it or not. Therefore, the pot that has been boiling to this day. But, long story short, no Ogoni person should feel, think, or made to think or believe that Ogoni cannot get a state or is not qualified for a state. State creation is not based on population. Ogoni has the number, about 2 million people. Of course, we have argued on other occasions that there are countries in this world currently that happen to have a number under 500,000. Okay? But Ogoni is not asking for a country. We are only saying that Ogoni is qualified to be a country, assuming the people wanted to form a country of their own. What Ogonis are asking for, and righteously, is a state that will allow them, that will bring development close to them. Take, for instance, the Environmental Technology University. A state for Ogoni would be able to partner with the federal government to make that university successful, compared to if Ogoni is under River State that has continued to marginalize the Ogoni people. Imagine the meeting that they went for in Abuja on January 21st. The River State governor and the Federal Capital Territories minister were all there. That was no longer an Ogoni meeting with the federal government of Nigeria. That was a River State meeting. You cannot have an Ogoni meeting and you have other people in River State in that meeting, except they are part of the officials of the federal government who are relevant to the subject matter. They make it look like Ogoni is not good enough to handle his own business. No, Ogonis can handle their own business. There was Ogoni before Nigeria. Okay? Ogoni was not taking orders or taking whatever from any other tribe or ethnic nationality in the area. In short, Ogoni fared well, even under colonial rule, because in 1947, Ogoni was able to regain its self-determination, which is the Ogonis were able to arrange themselves and have the opportunity to manage their own affairs under colonial government. And Timothy Naku Paul Birabi was the man in charge of that. So Ogoni can take care of itself. Ogonis have been able to teach the world some lessons the importance of the environment, so-called minority rights, and so on and so forth. So it's not like Ogoni was born yesterday. Ogoni existed long before the 5th century. And Ogoni has always been on his own, doing his own thing, and was one of the last, if not the very last, people conquered by the rogue British. It was, the last fight was 1914. After repelling the British Army more than twice. So, Ogonis can do their own thing by themselves, but in collaboration with the federal government and other nearby states. Especially if Ogoni is going to continue to supply Nigeria oil. And such supply, of course, is not going to end the corruption that is in Nigeria today, that is rampant everywhere. Nor is it going to end the violence and so on and so forth. It's not going to end the hunger. In short, officials of government will want to steal more money if they have more money in their pocket. Because, of course, the issue of Nigeria today is not whether Nigeria is taking in enough crude oil. It is that people in high places, including the oil companies, are stealing the oil. They are stealing the oil. They're stealing the oil. And then the money that has been put into the federal coffers is stolen by officials of government as well from all previous presidencies. Is a fact. And so it is important to note that political autonomy for Ogoni is the panacea for the Ogoni Nigerian government's crisis or conflict. Because you cannot continue to cheat a people for so long. And then after 32 years that you've ignored them, no development, no federal presence, no nothing, but political gangsterism, every year pitching Ogonis against themselves with noise of oil resumption and so on, bribing some people, maybe lawmakers, officials, you name them. And then Ogoni will be heated every year. And that's the same thing that we are in right now. Tinubu's might be different. We have to give him a benefit of the doubt because he spoke well of the Ogoni people he experienced during the pro-democracy era. And he said he knows what to do to honor our beloved ones who sacrifice, who gave the ultimate sacrifice, not just for the Ogoni struggle, but for Nigeria as a whole. It was as a result of the killing of the Ogoni 9 that Nigeria was, for the first time, suspended from the Commonwealth of Nations. And there were other penalties or other sanctions as well. That was how Nigeria was forced to come into civil government, civil rule, which some call democracy, but to me, it's not democracy. There's no democracy anywhere in the world if we go by the practical definition of democracy: government of, by, and for the people. There's no such government anywhere. What we have is government of oligarchs, corporatism, and all of that, special interest. But then the people vote every 4 years, as the case may be. So Ogoni is qualified and overqualified for a state. And a state for Ogoni will resolve so much of the problem in Niger Delta. It will cut the problem, the challenges to half, if not more. And the state will create so much jobs for the Ogoni people and non-Ogonis. There are a lot of people who are non-Ogonis in Ogoni currently. And other people who are not in Ogoni currently will also have a job if they have what it takes. And so the federal government should look into creating a state for Ogoni. All the current 36 states were created by the military, by decree, by fiat. If the current constitution, which is also military, foundationed on military, has no provision for state creation, then the federal government can impress on, work with the National Assembly to amend the constitution and create space for state creation. And Nigeria cannot sit here have more than 20 years, 25 years, 26 years after the military left in 1999 and keep acting like babies, saying they cannot create states. Ogoni's situation need special handling. You don't have to create any other state if you're creating an Ogoni state. But because of the interest all around the country and greed of those who already have 6, 5, and 11 or 12, it's up to the federal government. But what Nigeria should no longer do or think of doing is to sit down and assume that Ogoni oil will continue to service all the 36 states, most of which are not viable, not because they don't have the resources. Any state that doesn't have oil currently in the country has solid mineral in the north, in the east, and in the west. Much of the oil happens to be in south-south, which is Niger Delta, of course. And so Ogoni oil would have to serve the interest, the development interest, the development need of the Ogoni people, while also being used to service other people. It is so unjust to continue to think that a people who are about 2 million people or more cannot have a state. But it is okay for them to continue to, to foot the bills of all the 36 states and the federal capital, which the Ogoni oil money was used to build. It is unjust. It is unfair. It is inhumane. And so, the federal government, it is time for you to show goodwill to the Ogoni people. Ogoni has shown so much goodwill and has bared the brunt of standing up to demand its right. No group in the country has been invaded and killed for demanding their right to a state. Ogoni is the only group. Why must that be? It is time for the country to think right. It is time for the country to start using the resources in the land in a judicious way so that there will be constant electricity, so that there will be constant stable water supply, so that there will be good roads, so that there will be functional schools. Schools all over Nigeria right now happen to be in a mess. Okay? And so there is need for responsibility. There is need for accountability. There is need for Nigerian children to eat and get full instead of the kind of hunger that they face today, the kind of hardship that they face today, that 35 children had to die rushing to try to get 5,000 naira on December 18th of last year, 2024. Not to talk of several others who died somewhere in Enugu and in Abuja. It shouldn't be that way. Nigeria should be self-sufficient. But for corruption, but for criminality, that should stop. Ogoni oil is not for sale. Ogonis must benefit from their oil this time, or no oil is coming up. Nigeria should be ready to dig more graves and build larger prisons, because Ogonis will resist to the end. It is simple. Just do the right thing. Just like the university that is approved for Ogoni. That's a great thing. The people will be happy. The people are thankful. But it's not anything near, what Ogoni desire. Therefore, the time for Nigeria to do right by Ogoni and create a state for Ogoni, so that Ogoni will be able to manage its own affairs like 36 current states, and especially like about 26 out of the 36 states created based on ethnic expression or basis. It is just the right thing to do. Give a state to the Ogoni people, ease or kill the tension that is in that region. Solve almost half, if not more than half, of the Niger Delta problem, because of course the Ijaws already have a state. Delta is a state. Akwa Ibom is a state. River State is a state, but Ogoni is fused into River State and cannot even raise its head because of repression. And Ogoni produce more oil in River State than any other group. But that's not the issue. It doesn't matter what quantity of oil you produce. It is important. But then, Ogoni, which gave Nigeria its official oil boom in the late 60s and early 70s and beyond, deserved better. Ogoni deserved better. Ogoni deserved a state. That is the right thing to do. It is the most just and fair thing to do, and does not deny any other group of any rights, whether implied, natural, institutional, or otherwise. Therefore, a state for Ogoni now and solve the Ogoni Nigerian government's conflict. Thank you very much. Ben Ikari.